How's it going?
Oh, I forgot this crucial part.
Like I know I remember the date it happened. I think it was June 9th, 1912, because wasn't it the same year Titanic went
Uh-oh.
down? Something like that?
You just dipped out there a little bit.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You came back,
Yeah.
you just got garbled, but you were correct on the date. It was the
Okay.
same year as the Titanic, and you even got the day right. It was the evening of the 9th, morning of the 10th.
Okay. And it was a Sunday, or was it there's something about church. Like I feel like they went to church, the
Yeah,
family.
I was confused because I was thinking he was a minister, but I guess he wasn't. They went to a children's program that night.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that must have been how, because it was rundown is that there was a murder in Villisca, Iowa. There was an axe murder where somebody killed a family of six, and then they had two visitors there that night too. And I think what happened was they had that children's program, and one of the daughters invited a couple kids to spend the night. So that's kind of the overview of what happened.
Yeah. And the house that it occurred in, when you look at pictures of the house, and I'm sure we can, I don't know if you want to pull any up now or we can put that in later, but the house kind of looks bigger than it really is when you go to visit it, I thought. Like the house is really, really small. You, if I remember, you almost like you walk into maybe a little porch, mudroom area, is it? Um,
Kitchen. You
and
walk straight
then
into the
is it a
kitchen.
kitchen? Is it right into the kitchen? Okay. Um, and then it just is like living room right off to the from the living room. Well, first there's a stairway that goes up, and then on the other side of that stairway, there's the downstairs bedroom where the visiting girls lived. I think their last name was like Stillinger. It was coming to mind,
Sounds
but
right.
can't remember their first names. Um, and upstairs is you walk up there and it's just boom, parents' bed. It's
Yeah, right
a
at the top of the
room.
steps, and the steps were kind of treacherous and narrow.
Yeah, very, very. And then so to go like there's the parents' bedroom, and then the girls, their daughter's bedroom was um on the south end of the house, if I have my bearings right in my head.
Oh, I definitely don't have directions down, but I wonder the bedroom on the first floor, was that the like strictly the guest bedroom?
I feel like it was because uh, either that or um like maybe one of the girls slept down there, like some of the other kids, and they just divvied it up
Yeah, I didn't know if
that
the
night.
sleeping arrangement was different for that night or what, but
Yeah,
yeah, the upstairs
yeah.
wasn't very big either. I mean, you had the parents' bedroom down the hall, you had the kids' bedroom, and then off to the side you had the attic room, which the attic room was actually
Hmm.
quite a bit bigger than some of the other rooms.
Yes. Um, so
No
from
bathrooms.
no bathrooms, no. Luckily, they have a barn now that they built that was actually it was fairly good size, I thought. And that has bathrooms in there so the visitors can go and use it and all of
Electricity.
that. But electricity, yeah, because no electricity in the house, no water. I don't think I don't think there's really any modern
No.
amenities in that house. The wood burning stove that sits in the middle of the living room downstairs. Uh, yeah, it's very, very small. Um, Smaller than my house and your house. Like
Probably
like
about the
it's
same size as
definitely
my
smaller.
house.
Well, I don't know. You have a basement at least that makes your house, even bigger though
That's
than
true.
that. I felt like huge in that house. The timeline, I think, like you said, they got back from this program, And that's basically, I guess, where it ends, right? Where people really know exactly what happened, aside from the evidence uh, that they were able to gather from the crime. Because I can't remember exactly what led to people being alarmed about it. Like maybe it was just the lack of activity going on in the house, because
Yep.
typically I think that like a family that size and in that small town, they were used to seeing the girls out playing or the parents around. And there was just none of that. So I think that piqued some people's interest, and they went and checked it out and discovered it. And
Yeah,
uh,
it was the neighbor lady noticed that they hadn't been out to do their chores, so she went out, like, let out the chickens, and then went and contacted the brother, who came over, and he had a key to get in. So
okay. Um, One of the theories, I think the main theory, and they say it was the police department's theory, which I'll get to in a minute, is that the killer may have hidden the attic
yeah,
and was in wait, because they think the parents may have been attacked first, then which makes sense because if you're gonna commit a horrible act like that, you're gonna take out the main threat first, right?
yeah.
Which is going to be the parents. And I think they went into the girls' room upstairs after that, and then downstairs to the guests, the little kids that were the guests. Um, and like I said, it's a small house. I mean, there had to be noises. I mean, I hear noises in my house.
Yeah.
uh,
They speculate that everyone was sleeping except one of the visitors, though.
okay,
So
so was did what did you read about like the evidence why they think one of the visitors wasn't? Was there like a sign of
defensive
a
wounds, and the way they were
oh
laying crossways across the bed or something like that. Apparently
okay,
the the shirt was pulled up, or the dressing gown or whatever was pulled up, and they thought maybe there was some sexual abuse that happened, but I think they disproved that somehow, or it they they dismissed that. So
interesting. And like I'm glad, well, not glad that you brought up the sexual side of it, because um obviously it's
I'm
disgusting
glad
to
that you're
think.
not glad.
Yeah, obviously it's disgusting to think about, but um uh, did you read anything about the slab of bacon that they
Yeah,
found?
something about there was a slab of bacon placed next to the axe.
Hmm.
Yeah, 4 pound slab of bacon was taken out of the icebox and laid next to the axe.
And I remember reading a theory about that slab of bacon being used as essentially like a fleshlight for the
Oh,
killer. That was a possibility, which is freaking disgusting.
I had not heard
Um,
that one.
yeah, I don't know why. Like, why would they think of that? I guess unless there was any kind of evidence they gathered from it, which is a good segue into
Our sponsor.
uh,
Just kidding.
uh, it caught me off guard. But it's a good segue into like the police did a horrible job of keeping the scene secure. Like from what it sounds like when this news came about, the town descended on this house, and uh, reporters, you know, all of that were going into this house, walking in and out of this crime scene, and the police did not secure it at first. They just kind of let it happen, and it was a mess.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I said I was going to get back to the police theory in a minute, because eh, like did they really do that good a job investigating and taking into account all the evidence? It's hard to say, but um, there were some suspects though.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw there was like five or six different ones, and one of them was tried for murder twice
okay.
on it.
Was that the preacher, the traveling preacher guy?
No, the suspects included Reverend George Kelly,
Okay.
Frank Jones, who was a Iowa senator, William Blackie Mansfield, Loving Mitchell, which they have the name but nothing about that one. Paul Mueller or Miller, and Henry Lee Moore, who was no relation. The family was the Moores.
Hmm.
The father was Josiah Moore. But
Okay.
the bacon, was it you that had heard that the killer may have slathered himself in like bacon grease or something like that to escape like dogs? I had heard that rumor or like
That does ring a bell.
thought.
Yeah, that does kind of ring a bell that that was another theory what the bacon may have been used for, was to somehow like
Throw the scent
cover up
off.
his scent. Yeah, to like because of course the dogs are going to be trained to search for human scent. Like, they
Yeah.
smell bacon, they might want it, but it's not going to give them it's not going to put them on the trail. Um, that
And
would
where
be a weird,
all the mirrors were covered up too, weren't they?
yeah. That's an interesting thing because typically in murder cases, if there's stuff like that, like the guy, it's almost like the guy didn't want to see himself, right?
Yeah.
See his reflection. Like he was ashamed of himself at one point, uh, during that night. And I mean,
Do you
that's,
think it was the murders or the bacon part?
uh, what do you mean? Like if the theory of what he used the bacon for is,
That's pretty shameful.
I mean, yeah, 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 that's yeah, definitely covering up the mirrors after the bacon part, um, and the murders too. But Jesus, dude, yeah, it, it's it's very interesting, this house and the paranormal aspect of it. But I think one of the things that I always like to stress is you have to remember when you go to this house, um, it's just a horrible thing that happened there. Brutal murders, children,
It's an odd
it's very
tourist
sad.
attraction.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll say that when I first walked into that house, I didn't know what to expect. But I felt a heaviness there. And I've been to places where people have died, many more than 8 people, right? Uh, the battlefields and other houses where murders have happened and stuff like that. But um, the heaviness I felt there only compares to the heaviness that I felt when I visited Gettysburg at the high water mark, um, where the where Pickett's charge, basically met its demise. I felt that kind of heaviness at that part of Gettysburg battlefield, but
Hmm.
I don't
Almost
think
like
I've.
a tainted geographical marker or something how like that part of Earth or that part of the land experienced such a traumatic event that it just marred it for good.
Yes, yeah, because and I visited places in like England and Scotland, Ireland, castles where thousands of people died too in very horrible ways. And um eh, you respect that, but I never got that feeling.
Hmm.
um I don't know, it's hard to describe it, honestly.
Yeah, I went to Dachau, and that I think I had maybe not the same kind of weird, like ghostly spiritual feeling, but it felt weird there for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, like a heaviness. I don't know, that's the only way I can describe it. And I
Yeah.
remember looking at Blair when we walked in, and we didn't even say anything to each other. And I just like looked at him. And we just kind of went like, just a slight acknowledgement, you know, like when you see a good-looking lady
But like
walking
the
down the street.
opposite.
Yeah, but like the opposite, like just the acknowledgement part, like when a hot lady walks by and you see another dude, you don't have to know the dude, and you notice that he's noticing as well, and you just kind of look at each other like,
Well, it really sucks when you do that and it turns out that the lady is like that guy's daughter or something like that. Because that happened to me with
no,
oh, oh yeah, there was an old man that worked at Walmart with me, and I made a comment about some hot girl I saw, and
oh,
he's like, "That's my granddaughter." And I'm like, "Oh." She's full grown lady, but I had no idea.
you might have told me you might have told me that story before, but I don't remember it.
Well, and
So,
it wasn't a terribly rude comment that I made. It was just like you said, kind of the acknowledgement, like, "Oh, hey, check that out." And
oh dude, you're so lucky that it wasn't rude, man.
yeah, and nothing came of it. He didn't like make a big deal of it. He like just flat out like said that and just shut me up. So,
Was it the guy that you worked with in sporting goods? The older guy?
well, I worked with lots of older guys there, but
Oh, okay.
no, this was the guy that worked in pets.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. But yeah,
So the murder was never solved, even
never
though they tried
solved.
these guys. I don't know if there was speculations of different motives. I think, let's see, so much to read here though. Let's see, like some of them were serial killers or thought to be serial killers, axe
Yeah.
murderers. That similar events had happened other places that these people have been. Um,
Wasn't the New Orleans axe there was another famous axe murder around the same time period. I think it happened in New Orleans.
could be the one that I saw here was Colorado Springs
Okay.
and Ellsworth, Kansas, and Paola, Kansas. Let's see, the senator, let's see, Josiah had worked for Frank Jones at the implement store for many years before leaving to open his own store, and he took a lot of business away. Um, and there's rumors that Josiah Moore had a sexual affair with Jones's daughter-in-law.
Oh,
So
so the senator thing, they think it just could be like business, bad blood from like the business plus the affair,
yeah,
possibly.
and then they say that maybe the senator Jones had hired William Blackie Mansfield to murder them. Um,
You know what? That's a very interesting theory, a hitman, because it wouldn't be the first time that a hitman was supposed to get someone, but he just botched it all and just went nuts and killed like the entire house, right?
well,
Like
yeah, because like I mean, as far as like somebody going crazy or being a really sick serial killer, like do something like that, okay. But I mean, if you hire someone to take someone out, I highly doubt you're gonna be like kill his whole family, kill everybody in the house, like like
there
send a
was
message to the whole state that you know you'd think you'd want to make it look like an accident or you know there if it was a hit job, you think it would have been done a little cleaner.
well, like there was a hit job that I saw a program on ID. I think it was I almost got away with it. I can't recall the exact name or where it happened. But this man hired a hitman to, I think, kill his wife.
Hmm.
And there was some renovation going on at the house at the time. So the hitman went to the house the wife was supposed to be at and was waiting in the house. Well, the people doing the renovating came over and they didn't come over at the same time. And the hitman, it may have been two hitmen, possibly, maybe a getaway driver down the street and the one in the house. But that hitman ended up just killing all the contractors
Everybody that
um,
showed up.
that kept showing up and then just left and didn't even kill the actual
Sounds like a
person he
bad
was.
movie.
I'm just saying, man, criminals aren't that smart, dude.
No.
Usually they're pretty fucking stupid.
Well, and
So
you were saying like it in that instance it may have been more than one killer. That's something I read on here too. Like I had always thought that it was just one killer for the Villisca axe murders, but they said that it might have been more than one person too. They found I guess some cigarettes in the attic where the killer or
that's right.
killers were waiting.
That's right. Yeah. I mean,
So it's
whoever did it is obviously dead now. I mean, it's
well, yeah, it was 111 years ago.
yeah, yeah.
Must have
So,
some kind of vampire or something.
um, and I don't think there's really any kind of DNA type evidence. Obviously, they didn't know about it back then, or like anything that was kept that could possibly they could possibly extract it from now. They they have the actual axe, they think, right? In that museum, or
I don't
am I
know where
miss
the actual axe is.
uh
The museum was
or even
interesting
if they
too.
know.
Didn't it seem kind of like
Hmm.
a antique shop garage sale too?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of old cars in the basement of that place too. Remember that going down the stairs and there
Mm-hmm.
was a bunch of cars. Um yeah, that was a pretty interesting visit that we had. Um
What if
which we
the
can definitely get into.
what if the motive was
Uh
simply to set up a hotspot tourist attraction?
well, uh if
Just kidding.
that is the case, they've succeeded because holy shit, they are making bank off that place. If you look at that calendar that they have on their website, and it's like minimum 400 something dollars or 500, whatever it is, um, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money they're
Per
bringing
night.
in
Yeah.
per night. Yeah, like and obviously that I would assume I don't know their financial situation, but I would assume it's all paid up, paid off, because I think it's
Yeah.
been in that guy's family for a while. Whoever owns it, but uh, a big part of the history now, obviously, that the murders have happened is the paranormal history of it, and we can get into our own experience later.
Yeah, I think that was gonna be our part two,
When
maybe next week.
yeah, yeah, when we get a chance, but it's been explored by many groups.
Yeah, it's a pretty
been
famous
been
place in the paranormal circles.
been on TV, like Ghost Adventures with Zach Bagans. Can't remember if Ghost Hunters did one there or not. They probably did. I would be surprised if they didn't. Um,
Grant and Taps.
yup, yup. Uh, and just obviously just people that are really interested in it like us. So
Yeah, a lot of people have been there for sure. I mean, I
yeah.
guess I even um know other people on Facebook that have talked about it, or friends I've known that have gone there.
Hmm.
And do
Absolutely.
you remember the railroad
Yeah.
and the trains that were going through all night? That was another one of the rumors or ideas that maybe the killer either came in on a train or used the train to get away.
The sound of that whistle too really added just kind of another dimension to the whole experience too. You would hear the train kind of come in and
Mm-hmm.
uh, the whistle in the distance, and that does make sense because that railroad has been there for years and years and was there during the time. So that lends credibility to the theory that it could have been just like a transient or that was a getaway of sorts of for anybody.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, really interesting to kind of ponder the whys. I don't think it's ever going to be solved. I can't see it happening
Well,
unless,
I don't know much about the sciencey part of DNA testing or whatever, but I hear it's kind of a quackery anyways too.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that it's not as reliable or effective as TV makes it out to be, where they
yeah.
find a hair or a blood sample or a fingerprint. They're like, oh, it's definitely this guy. It's a lot more subjective and kind of how they can spin it to convince a jury. So, and I could be wrong about that, but that's what I've heard.
Well, that most current case, that Gilgo beach murderer, the serial killer, Long Island serial killer.
I don't know
Um,
anything about this.
they they recently arrested this guy out in New York. Um, and I think they were investigating like a missing persons case out there. And then they end up finding this stash of just bodies and bodies and bodies on this stretch called Gilgo Beach, out there in Long Island. And they finally caught this guy who had a family. I think he was kind of regarded as kind of an odd duck by some of the neighbors, but then some people said, no, he's a cool dude or whatever. All the bullshit they go through when they ask people about him. But one of the things that they had apparently was they found a pizza crust with his DNA on it. Um, or is it? They found it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, they found a pizza crust with his DNA on it that he had discarded somewhere in New York City and matched it up with, I guess, the DNA that they had recovered at some of the scenes or whatever. So,
I mean,
and
I
his,
suppose it's possible.
yeah, and then his car, I think his car matched a description or pretty closely of a witness or something like that. So,
Because I mean, I did the 23andMe thing where all you do is you spit into a little vial and send it off. It's
mhm.
like not even that much spit either. And it was pretty accurate. I mean, like it showed up a bunch of my relatives. Uh-oh. We're running out of time here, it looks like.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So yeah, as far as the murders go, it wasn't solved. No clear motive. One of them thought it was it was rumored to be a cocaine addicted serial killer.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure Coke was probably legal back then, or you
or at
could get
least,
it prescribed. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I guess we'll just leave it at that as far as the background.